rest. I've not been able to sleep well. Even last night, I was sleeping and I was shouting. It was my mom that came to meet me like last night, and she prayed with me before sleeping. I want justice, and I also want them to compensate me for the things I lost.
As police intensifies effort to arrest those involved, attention is now focused on securing justice for the victims, helping them heal from the trauma, and ensuring such incidents do not happen again, either in Ozoro or elsewhere in Nigeria.
Welcome to DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, engineering services, construction and fabrication works, specialized procurement and supply, operations and maintenance services, and integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, barges, houseboats, and speed boats. At DERSAG Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions.
Democracy had an engine room, the National Assembly would be right at the center of it. From lawmaking to keeping government powers in check, this arm of government plays a crucial role in how Nigeria is run. But what exactly does the National Assembly do, and why does it matter to us as everyday Nigerians? Let's break it down.
The National Assembly is Nigeria's federal legislature, established under the 1999 Constitution. It is responsible for making laws for the entire country and represents the Nigerian people at the national level. Nigeria operates a bicameral legislature, meaning the National Assembly has two chambers. The first is the Senate, which consists of 109 members. Each of Nigeria's 36 states elects 3 senators, while the Federal Capital Territory elects 1. The second chamber is the House of Representatives, made up of 360 members elected from federal constituencies across the country, based largely on population. Together, these two chambers ensure that both population size and geographical spread are represented in national decision-making. So why does Nigeria operate 2 legislative chambers instead of 1? The bicameral system is designed to promote balance and careful decision-making. While the House of Representatives reflects population distribution, the Senate ensures equal representation of each state. This structure prevents dominance by more populous regions and encourages broader national consensus before laws are passed. It also creates an internal system of checks where both chambers review and debate legislation independently. The primary responsibility of the National Assembly is lawmaking. A proposed law, known as a bill, can be introduced by a lawmaker or forwarded by the executive arm of government. Each bill goes through a structured process. The first reading, where it is formally introduced. The second reading, where principles are debated. The committee stage, where detailed examination takes place. And the third reading, where final approval is sought. Public hearings may be held, allowing experts, civil society groups, and citizens to contribute to the process. Once passed by both chambers, the bill is sent to the president for assessment. If the president refuses to sign, the Constitution allows the National Assembly to override that decision with a 2/3 majority, reinforcing the legislature's independence. But the work of the National Assembly doesn't stop at lawmaking. One of its most critical responsibilities is oversight. This means monitoring how government ministries, departments, and agencies carry out their duties. Through committee hearings, investigations, and summons, the National Assembly can question public officials on policy implementation and spending. Ministers and heads of agencies are required to explain their actions and justify the use of public funds. This oversight role is vital for transparency, accountability, and preventing misuse of power. One of the most influential powers of the National Assembly lies in the nation's finances. Each year, the President presents the national budget to a joint session of the National Assembly. Lawmakers review the proposed spending, debate allocations, and make necessary amendments. No government can legally occur without the approval of the National Assembly. The legislature also approves external and domestic loans, monitors government borrowing, and ensures that the public funds are spent according to approved budgets. This authority gives the National Assembly significant influence over Nigeria's economic priorities and development plans. Members of the National Assembly are elected to speak for the people. Lawmakers represent specific constituencies and senatorial districts. They raise motions, sponsor bills, and advocate for projects that reflect the needs of their communities. Ideally, this ensures national policies consider the realities on ground, from infrastructure and education to security and healthcare. Through this representative role, citizens' concerns are meant to reach the federal level. The National Assembly also serves as a guardian of the Constitution. It has the power to amend the Constitution, approve key appointments such as ministers and ambassadors, and confirm judicial nominees. In extreme cases, the National Assembly can initiate impeachment proceedings against the president, vice president, and other top officials following constitutional procedures. These responsibilities help maintain balance among Nigeria's three arms of government: the executive, legislature, and judiciary. Despite its importance, the National Assembly faces criticism. Issues such as low public trust, concerns over transparency, and debates around remuneration have shaped public perception. However, the effectiveness of the National Assembly often reflects broader democratic challenges, including voter participation, accountability, and civic engagement. Strengthening the legislature ultimately requires active citizen involvement and sustained democratic pressure.
In simple terms, the National Assembly makes laws, checks government powers, controls public spending, and represents the people. While debates continue about performance and responsibilities, its role remains central to democracy. Understanding how it works helps citizens know where power lies and how to demand for better governance. Alright guys, that is all on this episode of Explained. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. Follow, like, and share, and we'll see you next time.
Welcome to DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, engineering services, construction and fabrication works, specialized procurement and supply, operations and maintenance services, and integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, barges, houseboats, and speed boats. At DERSAG Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions. Welcome to DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, engineering services, construction and fabrication works, specialized procurement and supply, operations and maintenance services, and integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, barges, houseboats, and speed boats. At DERSAG Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions. Welcome to DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, engineering services, construction and fabrication works, specialized procurement and supply, operations and maintenance services, and integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, barges, houseboats, and speed boats. At DERSAG Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions.
All right, you're welcome back to TVM Express this morning, and we have with us, joining us via Zoom, we have a guest. She's a broadcaster, and at the same time, she's a lecturer, so she's a woman of many hats, and she's going to be speaking to us or sharing her opinion with us regarding what she feels about handling managing sexual violence for those who are victims, and how, as people or as human beings who exist in this on this planet, sharing this planet with ourselves, how we can maybe conduct ourselves moving forward to reduce these incidents of sexual violence, particularly one of this magnitude that happened in Ogara, that felt endorsed by the culture, if not because the palace came out, felt like, oh, it's a cultural thing to do there. I'm actually glad that they came out strongly against it. So she's going to be joining us. I don't know if PD is ready. Let's have her on this set. We have Mrs. Esiri Temabo. She's a broadcaster, like I said, and she's also a lecturer. Thank you for joining us this morning, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. Great. All right. You are a Delta, probably by perhaps start addressing this thing from the cultural aspect of it, right? I've been in Delta State for a couple of years, and unfortunately, sorry to bring this up, but unfortunately, what happened in Ogara is an instance of stories I have heard over time from various people. I have not experienced it, I have not witnessed it, but I have heard stories of different cultural activities that seem to promote sexual assault or some kind of violence against the women folks. Is that something that you are aware of?
I'm sorry, you got cut off there.
Oh, okay. I was saying that I heard instances from different people that there are certain culture that promotes this violence against the women folks, particularly in this part of the country. I don't know if it's something you are aware of as a Delta.
Okay, well, good morning, and thank you for having me on your show this morning. I should state it categorically that yes, this festival, these cultural practices do exist. As absurd as they sound to be hearing, they do exist. One very good example would be that of the Ekwan community of Uvie local government area. I myself have seen that happen firsthand. Happens every year, as a matter of fact. I hear it happens towards October, maybe in October, November. But yes, that happens. Another example I could give you would be that of a Okere community in Warri South local government area, right, where they declare a festival, and then next thing that happens, women are being assaulted. And also, I should correct, you said that this happened in Ogara. It actually happened in Ozoro, in the Isoko North local government area.
Can you please?
Are you there? Am I still on?
Yeah, you are. You are. All right.
Okay.
So now, all right. The whole how have the reactions been? You just mentioned that it's the regular or their festivals or cultural festivals that seem to promote things like that. But has there been any serious backlash from these the or the women in ladies or the question
Mm-hmm.
in women in this question? area? Has there been any reaction regarding that?
Okay, so none that I know of, that there have been backlash, there has been an outcry, none that I know of. Now, I'm going to say this really clearly. I mentioned before that I myself have witnessed firsthand, especially in the Ekpan area of Uwe local government area, where I don't know what that festival is called, but I know that when it happens on the road, they go about groping the bosom, of women, unsuspecting women. Now, I would say that these things do not. I'm going to say this categorically, and anybody out there can, come out and prove me wrong. These things do not happen to the women of the community. I've not heard that any woman from Ekma in Uwe local government area was abused like that, or was outside or in the area when the festival was going on. It always happens to unsuspecting non-indigenes who pass by, people, because that's a popular area. I have to pass there to work, right? That's part of my route to work, to the school where I lecture. So I'm passing through there, I'm going to work, I don't stay in that area, and I'm just going there one beautiful, let's say Wednesday morning, and I get to the road, there's a lot of commotion, and there are men, even small boys, groping my chest. Really absurd. So as far as an outcry, I can't say that I've heard about any. Of course, there's usually when it happens, when I see they do this thing, oh, it should have gone by now, but that there has been a public speaking out about it, I don't think so. However, I can tell you that there have been, whether this outcry has come out so loud, I cannot tell you so. But however, I know that there has been cases or one case where Comrade Israel Joe has tried to speak out against one that happened really recently in this same Ekpan community of the Uwe local government area. At the time, the local government chairman of the area at the time had come out to decry the whole thing and made sure some measures were put in place, to protect women, especially unsuspecting women. Remember that I said it is usually to unsuspecting women who are just passing by, going to work, or going about their daily activities as the case may be, right? So although there has not been any continuous talking about this out there, I can tell you that one person in particular, that's the one that I know of, Honorable Comrade Israel Joe, is a human rights activist. I follow him on Facebook. That's how I know that he has cried out about it. He has spoken about it, and then there was a lot of backlash, of course. People came out to say, oh, it's our tradition, the women should not come out. But how would the women know that they're not supposed to come out when I don't stay there? First of all, I don't stay in the place. Second of all, I don't understand Uwe, which is the language that they would use to announce, because in the case of the Ozoro community, they said they made announcements. You made announcements in what language? In Isoko, of course, and that's a student area where students came from far and wide to the Southern Delta University who do not understand, first of all, their mother tongue, not to talk of another person's mother tongue. And you said you made announcements to those So in those areas before the event occurred. So that's really terrible. That's really terrible.
So how we can manage situations like this when it happens. How do you think someone who is a victim of how do you think you can approach reporting such, because it's a very sensitive thing? So what do you think how do you think a victim should manage reporting it or should handle it when it happens?
First of all, I need to say that my heart goes out to all the ladies who are part of it. I know someone who knows someone who was was a victim, right? And the lady was devastated. I'm telling you, she was, as a matter of fact. And I'm telling you that I know how that can affect your mind, affect your psyche. Like I said, I personally have been in Ekpa when their festival, like I said, I don't know the name, what it's called, but they call it, breast festival in Warri, but I'm not sure that that's the name, because how can that even be the name? Even, I digress. Even
that should not be the name.
Festival that happened, yeah, that can be the name, yeah. Even the one that happened in Zoro that has been all over, the name that has been all over the internet space, that's not the name of that festival. It's just the activities that led to people calling it that, right? So, first of all, I know how devastating it can actually be to be in that kind of situation, to have that kind of thing happen to you. Now, SP Dafe, Brian Dafe, from the police PRO, has come out to say that there was no penetration of women. I'm sorry, I'm digressing a little bit from your question. I might have to ask you the question again, because I'm digressing now. So, the police released a statement to say that there were no penetrations and no persons were there was no actual intercourse. So I'm wondering, I'm asking the question, so the eyewitnesses, they are just blabbing, they are saying rubbish, they don't know what they're talking about. They say the police has been...
That's what prompted the...
As a lady, because what the police said was nobody actually reported that. Yeah.
I'm sorry so there was this one that was on the internet. It was widespread, right? Where this young man and his girlfriend, were, going about, walking about, having some really cool time in the cool of the evening. And then, of course, these guys came outside, see one woman, and they held her. The voice note said that while they were trying to do that to her, the boy trying to protect her also got himself assaulted, sexually assaulted by the men. So is that a lie? Are people just making up stories? The people that, the one that, one eyewitness also is very widespread. These things are on the internet. You can go and check them out. Very widespread. This girl, it was a group chat apparently, said that she was standing inside her compound, peeping through the gates when she saw a lot of them, the guys who were at it, and this young lady.
Nigeria is one nation, but within it are different identities, cultures, and diversities. So how do you govern the country that is this diverse? Here on Explain Nigeria, everything is going to be broken down for you. The answer Nigeria chose was federalism, a way to share power, protect diversity, and promote unity.
Federalism in Nigeria is a system of government where power is shared between the central government, states, and smaller political units under one constitution. In Nigeria, these are the federal government, 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, and 774 local governments. Each level has constitutionally defined responsibilities designed to promote cooperation rather than domination. Nigeria is a large and diverse country made up of many ethnic groups, religions, and cultures. To manage this diversity and prevent domination by any single group, Nigeria adopted federalism. Nigeria operates a three-tier system of government. At the top is the federal government, which handles national matters such as defense, foreign affairs, currency, and immigration. Next are the state governments, 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, responsible for regional issues like education, healthcare, agriculture, and infrastructure. At the grassroots are local governments, which bring governance closer to the people by handling community-level services. Nigeria adopted federalism to manage its deep ethnic, religious, and cultural diversity. With over 250 ethnic groups, federalism was meant to prevent domination by any single group, protect minorities, and bring government closer to the people.
Just days after the reported incident in Ozoro, home to the Western Delta University, the police commissioner, Aina Deshola, led a team of officers to the community as part of ongoing investigations. The delegation visited the palace of the traditional ruler, where the commissioner reiterated the police commitments to ensuring that all those responsible are brought to justice.
This thing is over everywhere. It's an embarrassment to this country, and we will not relent in getting them arrested. I also want to applaud and appreciate the students for their maturity by not protesting. It's very wonderful. It's well commendable. I want to tell you that by the special grace of God, we will get everyone that's involved with this matter.
In response, the king and the community leaders pledged their vowing to support efforts to identify and arrest the perpetrators.
You rape, proper penetration or no penetration, to me, they are all rape. They are evil. No girl child should ever suffer it. I appreciate you warmly, my commissioner of police.
Meanwhile, 4 victims have spoken to journalists off camera, recounting how they were harassed and assaulted during the incident.
On Thursday, I was wearing shorts, so when I saw the crowd, they were like, someone get. Someone shook their hand under my own shorts. Someone was just, they were molesting me that day. And I was also only my project proposal on my hand that day. They rough handled the book.
When I went out, I entered the bike. So when I got there, a lot of boys, they started shouting, "You push should hold her, she's a girl." Then they started dragging my clothes, ensuring that I'll go naked, and I was there screaming. I was shouting that they should let me be. They tore my dress and I misplaced my things. They tore my dress. They were pressing my breast, a lot of boys, and my body, my back. They dragged my dress. I've not been able to sleep well. Even last night, I was sleeping and I was shouting. It was my mom that came to meet me like last night, and she prayed with me before sleeping. I want justice, and I also want them to compensate me for the things I lost.
As police intensifies efforts to arrest those involved, attention is now focused on securing justice for the victims, helping them heal from the trauma, and ensuring such incidents do not happen again, either in Ozoro or elsewhere in Nigeria.
These cut across critical sectors, include Welcome to DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, engineering services, construction and fabrication works, specialized procurement and supply, operations and maintenance services, and integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, barges, houseboats, and speed boats. At Dursag Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. Dursag Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions. Welcome to Dursag Engineering and Services Limited.
All right, you're welcome back. You're welcome back. We still have with us our broadcaster on the line. Are you with us, ma'am? Okay, all right, great. Now, you've said that it's most of the cultures do practice it. Personally, I do wonder if we can stop the killing of twins in this part of the world. Then what is in a festival that cannot be stopped? But
put in place by human beings, and they can be as abolished as they were made in the first place. So yes, of course, they can be stopped.
Let's look at the role, because we are media practitioners. You are a broadcaster, right? Now, do you think the way sexual violence is being covered, do you think it encourages people to speak up, or does it sometimes discourage them?
I think that there are cases where media coverage of this sexual assault prompts people to speak. However, in our part of the world, in this Nigeria part of the world, there is still this stigmatization that happens to victims.
Hello, are you with us?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, all right. So I was saying that, yes, media coverage has caused people to speak out. People have the area we're living, the stigmatization that exists when you come out to say, oh, I was assaulted by social person, and especially because we have a
we seem to be having challenges
Hearing from her.
from
I know she's still online, but
in Nigeria, in our communities, when someone speaks out. So I can tell you that there's still a lot of people who will not speak out, who will not come out to say, oh, I was assaulted or I was harassed. And I should say this out here because there's been a lot of backlash, especially after the last false alarm. What was her name? There was this girl who raised alarm on social media some months ago, maybe last month, I can't recall, or some weeks ago, that said she had been assaulted and the person sent her a message, only to find out that it was a false alarm. She wasn't assaulted. In fact, she may have schizophrenia, as the case may be. So that and many other cases have led people to begin to cry wolf, to say that, oh, it's a lie, oh, it's a lie. I'm going to tell you, sexual assault, sexual molestation, sexual harassment, they happen. And they do not only happen to the women folk, because there's been a lot of coming out there backlash from the men folk to say, oh, you people are always doing, a lot of them are false and all of that. I can tell you categorically that 1 in 13 men at least are sexually harassed. They are sexually molested. Someone listening to me this morning or watching me this morning would want to wonder, how do they still molest men? Yes, women harassment too. I can tell you categorically that 1 in 13 men are harassed sexually. I can tell you that 1 in 4 little boys, are sexually molested. They are sexually assaulted, especially by people who are close to them. So it doesn't just happen to the women folk. That said, as much as we do our best in the media to come out to say, or speak out, if something happens to you, don't keep it to yourself. Now, you asked the question earlier, I think I didn't get to answering. You asked what could be done, to the victims and all of that. These people it can be a lot on your mental health when you are assaulted like that, especially a mass assault, a gang assault, different men from different places. If you saw that video of the young lady whose dress they were tearing apart, you could see how visibly shaking she was. That lady is not going to forget that experience in a hurry. Now, I did mention earlier that I know someone who was also a pastor. That lady getting married in May, by the way, and she said she was assaulted. She doesn't know how to tell her husband that this thing, she was there, she's a victim. Her husband to be, that is, this thing happened to her. Now, imagine the psychological state of those ladies. I don't know the 4 people that they interviewed who said there were no penetrations, but then they were assaulted, they were molested. People had hands in their bodies. They tore people's clothes off. Those ladies, even though they were not penetrated, will be going through a lot of psychological self-esteem trauma. There's gonna be a lot of trauma happening right now. The only thing I can say is that they need justice. Now, saying that they need justice doesn't end at saying that the chief priest was arrested, the organizers were arrested. Look, perpetrators can be identified. Young men who were present can be identified. As a matter of fact, I feel like we only saw a few videos online. What about the things that were not posted? What about the ones that happened that people didn't catch on video? But I think that faces can be identified. All those young men that made videos of themselves before the festival started, they made videos of themselves in maybe in front of the shrine or something. They were dancing and preparing. Those people can be identified, and those people should be arrested, because I think those people were also part of the people who assaulted young ladies. Now, there needs to be personal. These ladies need closure. They need justice for them to feel okay. And I'm telling you that even after they hear that, oh, the person that did this to you was arrested, they wouldn't still feel as good as they should feel, because it's something that sticks to your brain for the rest of your life, as a matter of fact. They need therapy as well. These people, I was saying this, a friend was lamenting to me about that, her friend who was a part of, who was a victim of, the event that happened at Ozoro. And I was saying to her, I hope that this doesn't lead people to want to begin to take their lives, because this is what happened. We've heard cases, we've seen cases of when people are assaulted, both male and female, like I said earlier. People are assaulted sexually and they begin to doubt themselves, begin to doubt their self-worth, begin to see themselves as nothing. And the next thing we hear is that, oh, this person took their lives. Now, it will be so sad and very devastating if we begin to hear cases, because like I said, they only have 4 people that they interviewed. A lot happened behind the scenes. A lot of ladies were not recorded. A lot of ladies, because you will not tell me that it's only 4 people that, it's only 4 ladies that moved from 12 p.m., I beg your pardon, till the evening. You won't tell me that. So a lot of things happen behind the scenes. Now, even though I think that there is still a lot of stigmatization that goes around, the media still needs to do her job. We still need to keep speaking. We still need to keep bringing it out there. People have been assaulted. People have been harassed. People have been molested. You have a story. As a matter of fact, feel free to tell your story anonymous. You don't want people to see your face, but to bring the awareness out there. And then I also want to appreciate the International Federation of Women Lawyers. I saw their post, and I totally agree with them, where they said that these men, there should be a mass trial. You see the way there was a mass assaulting and a mass molestation and harassment, there should be a mass trial. These young men can be identified. The way they gang harass people, they can be identified, and there should be a mass trial of all of them, one by one. They should be found guilty of harassment, assault, intent to assault, as the case may be, or intent to harass, and actual harassment, as the case may be. So I want to use this medium to actually appreciate the International Federation of Female Lawyers, the Delta State chapter, because they made a press release, and they said, as a matter of fact, they're ready to go pro bono on the case, as as this case will last. We do not want this one to be swept under the carpet. Enough of sweeping these things under the carpet. Look, it has happened, and I respect the OVA of the Zoro Kingdom. I respect the action that he took. I respect the statement. You could see that he was visibly mortified and angry. You could see the look on his face. I was watching the video of him when he was interrogating one of the organizers. You could see the anger. He was vehemently speaking that man, talking that man down, to tell you, did you tell me, and all of that. I appreciate him, but that's not enough. We need justice. And it's a community. The thing about small communities, it's not a small community, but the thing about those kinds of communities is the fact that somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. These boys can be identified and brought out so that there can be mass justice.
All right, ma'am, Siri Mambo, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
You put a lot of
Clear that if you are listening to this, or you're hearing this, or you come across this, and whether you are part of the victims at Ozoro or not, if you have been a victim of gender-based violence or sexual violence, you could reach out to the Federation of International Federation of Women Lawyers. That's the FIDA, the Nigeria chapter. They actually are very, very good advocates of things like this. They have been very wonderful. They've been immensely helpful over the years, and incidents like this that I'm aware of. So you could call their number, you could go to their website, get their contacts there, or I could call the number out for you. It's at +234 708 849 6115. That is +234 708 849 6115, or you could send them an email at fidanigeria@yahoo.com. They have their address in Lagos, in Abuja rather, at Block 1, Flat 1, Ankpa Close, Ogun Street, Area 2, Garki, Abuja. But I also know that they are in the different states of the Federation. So if you are not sure of how to contact them in your state, just call the numbers that I just read out, and you will get someone who will direct you. I'm hoping our presentation director will be able to get the number on the screen with time. It's 234-708-849-6115. 234-708-849-6115. All right, that's about a wrap for us this morning. I think our guest has done justice to everything, and we should not have to overflog issues. But to the police force that says they interviewed 4 suspects and there was no penetration, number one, sexual assault is not just penetration, first of all. Whether there was, whatever you call, whether there was penetration, whether there was groping, somebody has been violated. Number two, it's not just enough to make arrests, according to our guest, and I agree with her. It's not just enough to make arrests. I think aside from NGOs, even the government can take deliberate step to make sure that victims of such cases, because this is mass assault. This is not like the video of that young lady that I was referring to. I cried for that lady because I tried to imagine her life the next day, her life the week after, her life the year after, remembering something like that. The amount of guys who were on her. So I think the government should deliberately do something.
Yeah. Trauma like that is very hard to speak up. You feel
Exactly.
traumatized. You feel like nobody will believe you because there are no witnesses. You just
No, there were witnesses in this case.
a lot of yes. This one there were a lot of witnesses, and doing something like that out in the open is that is something that is bound to traumatize you for life.
Exactly. Because she's going to be moving around that vicinity.
And everybody will be looking at that either with pity or with so much pity or blame that they, like I read on Twitter, someone said you know that they've given out this type of instruction, so why you as a female coming outside? That is a very, very invalid thing to say.
It is irresponsible for you to instruct people that you want to do festivals, so they should not come out from your house. Ask who? Even the government. If the government want to do that, they will put a curfew. But the government cannot put a curfew because they are doing something. So you can't. You have no legal rights. And I think I have to say this: Nigeria is a social state. We do not operate. It is not a religious country. It is not a cultural country. It is a social country. There is freedom. You can be anywhere in Nigeria, regardless of the state you come from. You can be in any state. You have the right to be in any state in this country. It doesn't matter if you're from one other state. So you cannot tell people that because you want to do a festival, you should stay in their house. It is ridiculous and it is illegal. It's just because we tend to allow a lot of things just slide unnecessarily in this country. So scapegoats has not been made. So if the authorities make scapegoats of certain people, I think a lot of cultures would adjust and a lot of cultures will change. All right. I think that wraps it up for us this episode of TVM Express. Our heart goes out to the victim. We pray that
please don't be afraid to speak up. Someone will always be there for you.
Exactly. We pray that the victims get the peace, and we also pray that the government, or we're calling on the government to extend professional help to these people. They need this help. This is the time to show the humanity in governance, to show that this government is not just
there has to be more ways for these people to know that they can always fight for their rights and get the justice that they deserve.
Aside from them fighting for their rights, those that were the victims should get professional help to trauma treatment, because this is traumatic for them. They get trauma treatments, to get psychological treatment.
Trauma like that is very hard to let go of. You can't just wake up one day and say, oh, yeah, over it.
So we plead with the government to get things like that done. And we also ask the people in that community to show some grace in dealing with these victims. They are part of you. You see them every day. Just show some grace in dealing with them. Let them exist. Let them just exist in peace. You do not have to treat them like victims. They don't have to be addressed as victims. They are human beings that something happened to. It doesn't make them less human. It doesn't make them different. And going forward, for cultures who still harbor traditions that are criminal in nature, like the one our guest just said, where you go about groping women on the street in the name of a festival. You should take a look inward and work on those kind of things. It is not necessary in this day and age. Even if you say it's your culture and it's your tradition, if you say it's your culture and it's your tradition, for God's sake, once upon a time in this world, we are killing twins. We no longer kill twin babies. So if that can stop any or every other tradition that is useless in this then in this time and age can be stopped. Yeah, it can be abolished.
Because I've read about that festival. It's mainly for fertility. So I don't know what came over the youth in that community to do such a thing, such a diabolical thing.
Yeah. All right. So this has been TVM Express. Stay tuned to TVM. Remember, we are coming to you from the metropolitan town of Delta State. Engage with us on our social media platform. Call us, reach out on WhatsApp. You can call our phone number you see on the screen. Interact with our Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and X handles, and to get more news updates and details, particularly news coming out from this region of Nigeria. You could download our apps on the Android and Android phones on the Play Store. And for those of you who are using iPhones, I promise you, I can assure you that very, very soon, you'll be able to also get our apps on your iPhone. We are hard at work on it to make sure it happens. And also another OTA apps on your Play Store, talking about TV apps on the Play Store. We are on free-to-air satellite presently. You can check us out at the Toxat Birds frequency, satellite frequency. You just check us out, you'll see us there on TVM. And stay tuned and continue enjoying the rest of your day. Goodbye.
This is TVM. TVM delivers breaking stories, global headlines, and the moments that matter. From exciting sports action to exclusive local events, we keep you connected. Celebrate our culture, people, and voices with powerful documentaries and inspiring stories. Experience premium entertainment, from trending music to urban lifestyle and beyond. Grow your spirit with life-changing messages and uplifting perspectives. Lead the way with bold conversations, fresh ideas, and thought-provoking shows. Wherever you are, whenever you want. Watch TVM on all your devices. TVM, your world, your network.
In every democracy, power does not operate in silence. Someone must ask the questions, tell the stories, and shine the lights where others would rather keep things hidden. In Nigeria, that responsibility largely falls on the media. From newspaper and radio to television and digital platform, the media plays a powerful role in how the country is governed. Here on Explained, we're going to be looking at the roles of media in governance, how it informs, checks powers, shapes public opinion, and strengthens democracy.
When we talk about the media, we mean newspapers, radio, television, and digital platforms such as news websites and social media. In Nigeria, the media reaches millions of people every day in cities, towns, and rural communities. From early morning radio to the late night TV news, the media is often the first source of information to the public. The first major role of the media in governance is information. The media tells Nigerians what the government is doing, new policies, budget, laws, appointments, and national decisions. Without the media, most citizens would be completely disconnected from the government's activities. By reporting the news, the media keeps governance visible and open to the public. Another important role of the media is acting as a watchdog. Journalists observe government actions, investigate wrongdoing, and expose corruption or abuse of power. When public funds are misused or leaders fail to do their jobs, the media brings these issues to public attention. This role helps discourage bad behavior in government and remind leaders that the public is watching. Because of media reports, government officials are often forced to explain their actions. When stories trend in the media, ministries issue statements, agencies respond, and sometimes investigations are opened. This process is called accountability. Leaders being answerable to the people. In this way, the media helps balance power between the government and its citizens. The media does not only report news, it also educates the public. Through discussions, interviews, and special programs, the media explains government policies, citizens' rights, and national issues in simple language. Radio programs in local languages and TV discussions help Nigerians understand how governance affects their daily lives. Elections are a major part of governance, and the media plays a key role during this period. The media educates voters, introduces candidates, reports campaigns, and monitors the electoral process. On election days, media coverage helps promote transparency and reduces the speed of rumors. This helps citizens make informed choices and strengthens democracy. The media also gives ordinary Nigerians a voice. Through phone-in programs, interviews, and social media engagements, citizens can express their opinions and raise concerns. This allows the government to hear directly from the people and encourages public participation in governance. Despite its importance, the media in Nigeria faces challenges. These include pressure from powerful individuals, threats to journalists, lack of funding, and the spread of fake news. Some media houses also struggle to remain independent. These challenges affect how effectively the media can perform in its role in governance. Without the media, governance would lack transparency. The media connects the government to the people, keeps leaders accountable, and helps citizens stay informed. A free and responsible media strengthens good governance and democracy in Nigeria.
In the story of Nigeria's democracy, the media is more than just an observer. It is an active participant. By informing the public, holding leaders accountable, and giving voice to the people,
Welcome to DERSAG Engineering and Services Limited. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, engineering services, construction and fabricate works, specialized procurement and supply, operations and maintenance services, and integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, houseboats, and speed boats. At DERSAG Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. DESAG Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions.
In every democracy, power does not operate in silence. Someone must ask the questions, tell the stories, and shine the lights where others would rather keep things hidden. In Nigeria, that responsibility largely falls on the media. From newspaper and radio to television and digital platform, the media plays a powerful role in how the country is governed. Here on Explain, we're going to be looking at the roles of media in governance, how it informs, checks powers, shapes public opinion, and strengthens the
Welcome to Money and Market, a program that explains the economy in plain language for everyone to understand. And of course, it is a program that shows you how the economy affects you, everything around you, especially your pocket. All right, today we'll be looking at a very critical topic, and it is something that affects you and I as well, like we said in our previous episode. But today we'll be looking at the reason why prices keep rising and is not commensurate with what you earn. In other words, why is it that your money cannot buy you exactly what it used to buy? There's a reason why that happens. Just one word in economic terms: inflation. Now, many of you must have heard a lot about the word inflation. Today we'll today we'll break down things really nicely and simplified in order for even the market woman and of course those in the street to understand what inflation is all about. Now, simply put, like I said, we'll not be going into those economic jargons, but simply put, inflation means prices rising over time. The way the price rises over time, the general rise in price is what inflation is all about. So when inflation, for instance, goes up, the value of money goes down. When inflation, I want you to take note of this because as we go deeper into the discussion today, you will get to understand why I said this line now, that when inflation goes up, the value of your money goes down. Let's take a critical example. If 10,000 naira bought, a full bag of food items like last year or let's say a couple of years ago, but today that same amount of money, which is 10,000 naira, now buys half of that bag of food items, then what just happened is inflation. All right, what just happened is inflation. So what Nigerians experience every day, the increase, especially when you see them at fuel stations, in terms of transport hike, in terms of rentage that is up, and yes, in terms of what we see in the markets every day. This is exactly what we refer to as inflation. When you see the hike in foodstuff in the market, at fuel stations, in the transport industry, those of you who travel a lot, you get to understand what I'm saying. And of course, for those of you who pay rent, when your rent is due, your landlord or the property, the owner of the property where you reside or where you do your business will come and say there's a rise in an increase in your rentage. All this is what inflation is all about. Now, let's look at something on the screen for us to define what inflation is all about, for you to grasp what inflation is all about. Now, like I said, inflation is a rising cost of items in prices as against your money in your pocket. So inflation equals to rising prices, right? So invariably what money buys less over time. You can see how the naira or the note is shrinking in size. I mean, if we have that a clip on the screen. All right, so now all of these will come in courtesy of our sources, so it's not something that we just talk about. So inflation is why food prices rise. It is the reason why we have transport costs going up. Inflation is the reason why your salary feels, you know, like like it's very small, even when the number has not changed. And so the harsh reality about this is that inflation affects low income earners. Those are the people of the strata of the society that inflation hits the hardest. Because while prices rise, income, you know, your income often times stay the same. All right, that's why I said the price of goods going up is not commensurate with your salary. Let's look at another graphics on our screen right now, the before and now in everyday prices. Now we can see that a cup of rice is sold for 100 naira before now, yeah, and of course transport used to be like 200 naira, and then bread, a certain size of bread was sold for 300 naira. Now this was before, and now that same cup of rice is now being sold for about 250 naira and above, and the transport fare in that same distance is now being charged for 500 naira or more, and then the same quality or size of bread that was sold for about 300 naira about last year or 2 years ago is now being sold for 800 naira or more. So you can see that it is same money in your hand, but now that same money is buying fewer items compared to before. Now, like I said, all of these are coming as a result of the CPI reports courtesy of the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics. So inflation is not just an economic term, it is something that affects you and I. It is a daily reality. So, but what causes inflation? What really is the reason for inflation to even happen in the first place? Why does it somehow refuse to go away? Because we've seen over time that inflation remains where, I mean, it keeps happening. It doesn't go away, even when all the apparatus, all the tools are put in place to ensure that inflation goes off. It still exists. Even when we try to fight, when the players of the economy and of course the regulators of the economy try to reduce drastically the percentage of inflation as it affects the economy, we still see inflation around. So why does it refuse to go away? We will look into all of that, the causes of inflation in Nigeria. But just to let you know once again that inflation is not just one big term. It's not just something for the economists or the graduates of economics or those who are in the high strata of the society. It is for you and I. It concerns you and I because it is something that relates to prices and how it happens in relation to what we earn or what is in our pockets. So in our previous episodes in Money and Market, we've been talking about inflation on the lighter side, and we kept saying something that it is what puts hole in your pocket. Inflation is what makes your salary or your income disappear into the thin air, and you keep asking the question, what just happened to the money or the income in my pocket? And inflation, like I said, makes us to understand that what we use, what the value of the currency or your money in your pocket used to buy some time ago is not the same amount or quality of things that it bought back then that it will now buy. So that's what inflation is all about. So when you hear people say, for instance, I had 10,000 naira in the past, let's say probably 2010, and I was able to buy a large quantity of foodstuff in the house, maybe your basket of beans, a basket of rice, onions, some foodstuff. You could take 10,000 into the market, let's say by 2010, and you come home with a lot of food items. But now that 10,000 naira could hardly buy you some form of meat or some quantity of meat that you want to use in preparation of your local dishes, not to mention other food stuff that you want to buy to make up your food. So that's what inflation is all about. Like I said, we will not be going with the terms that is related to inflation, so that the common man out there in the street, those who did not attain higher institutions, will be able to understand what inflation is all about. And that's what this program does. We break things nicely for everyone to understand. So once again, the reason your income shrinks or looks like it's small or getting smaller by the day is because of inflation. Inflation. The reason why prices keep rising up and your income looks as if it's going down, even when your income stays the same. Now, one harsh reality about inflation is that over time, your income, for example, those who are salaried earners, those salaried earners would always have their income a kind of stable for a number of years. All right. So, and this does not, when it comes to salary, you don't just have promotion or increase in your salary every year as it is. So, but for prices of goods and by extension services, they keep increasing. They keep increasing as a result of so many factors, which if time permits us today, we'll look into all of that. So it is like a must for inflation to happen. And when it happens, when the prices of goods keep rising and your money stays in one place over time, then you say that inflation has hit rock bottom. All right, so that's what inflation is all about. And we gave instances of what money could buy some years back and what that same amount of money cannot buy right now. All right, it's a very important topic for you and I, to understand what this is about, because many persons have heard inflation. So now you're getting a better understanding of what inflation is all about. All right, pretty soon, just a couple of minutes from now, we'll go on a quick commercial. And when we return, we'll be looking at why inflation in Nigeria. Why and what are the reasons why we have inflation going on in Nigeria? We'll tell you more about that when we return.
At DSAG Engineering and Services, we anticipate, manage, and deliver. Since 2000, we have been a leading EPC company, ensuring customer satisfaction through quality service and timely delivery. With integrity, proficiency, and innovation at our core, we provide world-class solutions tailored to your needs. From engineering designs and construction to procurement, manpower outsourcing, and maritime supplies, DSAG delivers excellence. Partner with us today. Visit www.dsag.net or call +23 4807 254 8724. DSAG Engineering and Services, anticipate, manage, deliver.
All right, welcome back from that break. And before we went on that break, we said we're going to be looking at the causes of inflation in Nigeria. Now, we have been talking, I mean, we're trying to get to the meaning of inflation, what inflation means, and I hope we've been able to deal with that. But let's go into the in-court flesh of this particular topic now. And this will give you some insight, better insight about what inflation is all about. So, like anything that happens in life, they just don't happen accidentally. There are reasons why things happen. So in Nigeria, there are basically 4 major reasons, or very specific reasons, why inflation comes to the fore. One of them is too much circulation of money in, and of course, too very few goods being purchased by this too much money in circulation. Yes, too much money chasing too few goods, simply put. So when money is in circulation, but goods are not increasing, definitely prices will increase. Now, that's some form of economic laws. We don't want to go into that so that everybody will understand, but that's one thing when it comes to demand and supply, the laws of demand and supply. So again, when money is so much in circulation and few goods are available for that money to buy, then definitely prices will go up. Now, according to the Central Bank of Nigeria statistics released recently, currency circulation and demand deposits rose from 122.94 trillion naira. That was as at November 2025. It rose to 124.4 trillion naira as at the end of December 2025. So you can see that there was a sort of increase, about 2.90 trillion naira increase in the circulation of money and demand deposits. Let's look at the graphics we have before us, trying to explain the too much money and too few goods, because you can see that many people are chasing few food items. Okay, so the let's should I go on with the second cause now, the second reason? But definitely, for you to understand something, is that where we have so much money in the economy, cash liquid as it's called, like I said, I don't go into all those terminologies, but when we have so much cash in circulation and demand deposits, I don't want to go there, but you know, for you to grasp what I'm trying to say, when you have so much circulation, so much money in circulation, and it becomes few goods with us, you know, available in the market, then the sellers will want to increase the prices of such goods. All right, let's go to the second reason. Like I said, there are 4 in number. The second reason is high cost of production. High cost of production. Now, let's look at it. When fuel prices increase, when electricity is unstable, when transport costs increase, definitely you as a business owner would not want to, you know, share or take the burden of these things I just mentioned. I will explain better. But you definitely would now add these factors in your business. You now add them to what you are producing, to the price of what you are producing. So because no businesses or no business wants to sell at a loss. So these burdens will now be passed on because fuel, electricity, transport, these are part of your production. These are part of your production. And so the cost of having these available for your production, you want to add them to the price of what you are producing. Okay, so get that understanding. And no businesses will now say, okay, you know, because there's hike in fuel, there's electricity tariff that is so high, most times, and of course electricity is even unstable, but then the electricity tariff is high. Because it's unstable, you buy fuel to run your generating sets, and then transport costs increase. You now say you want to bear the burden. As a businessman, you will not make profit. And that's why I said no business wants to run at a loss. So you see on the screen, fuel goes up, electricity goes up, it's not even available in the first place, transport fare goes up, definitely the prices of that particular product will go up. All right, let's look at another reason why there is inflation in Nigeria. This one is on exchange rate. That's a very, very major factor when it comes to inflation. Now, Nigeria imports a lot, food, fuel, machines, raw materials. We import a lot, and all of these, like in one of the episodes I said, why fuel? Why do we even import fuel? Well, because we do not have enough refineries to refine crude oil to now give us the various products that would come out of the crude oil when it's refined. So Nigeria imports a lot of food, no doubt about that. One very good example of food item that Nigeria imports a lot is rice. There's fuel, there's machines, because we do not produce machineries here in Nigeria. I mean, those major machineries we do not. And so we'll have to import a whole lot of them. And then raw materials for to do our businesses, we also import this. So we talked about the Naira, the currency recently. So when the Naira weakens, and it happens a lot during inflation, when the Naira weakens, your imports, we said this before, your imports become expensive, okay, and inflation rises. So your weak Naira will not exchange for the dollars which you use in your business for the importation of your goods, and as a result, those prices of imports will now cost more. I mean, those imports will now be very expensive. They will now cost more, and then that's when inflation arises as well. So inflation will not be at the state or the level where it was. It will now increase. So the data from the CBN shows recently that the Naira recorded marginal losses recently, despite a softer dollar globally. I mean, the dollar became soft in market terms recently, but even at that, recently the CBN made us to understand that the Naira got weakened, and it closed at the third week of January at 1,421 Naira 90 kobo. That was the exchange rate for the dollar. So let's look at the then and now when it comes to some items, when it relates to exchange rates. Now you look at before now, the Naira was stronger in the exchange for the dollar, and then we had lower import costs as a result, because when you now trade your business, when you now do your business, it now looks like you are buying on a cheap. But right now, like I just said recently, the CBN data that was released not quite long showed that the Naira was weakened, and so the exchange rate was really not favorable for the Nigerian market, and as a result we have higher import costs. So whatever you are importing, definitely the cost went up. And then the last but not the least, the factor or reason why we have inflation in Nigeria is supply disruption. Now, there are different shocks when it comes to the supply chain in Nigeria. We have insecurity, we have flooding, we have bad roads, and of course, global crisis economically reduce supply. And when goods are scarce, because when there's supply disruption, definitely there's scarcity of that particular good. And so when these goods are scarce, prices definitely go up. That is the law of demand and supply. Okay, so when goods are scarce, definitely prices will shoot up. This is just simple economics. I don't know if you are getting what we have been talking about. Again, just for you to understand, 4 factors. We just picked these ones. There are other factors, but we just picked these few factors for you to understand what inflation is all about. The first factor why there's inflation in Nigeria, like we talked about, is when we have too much money chasing very few goods. And of course, the other factor was the high cost of production. Definitely, as a business owner, you will not want to accumulate all those costs and then let the consumer enjoy, almost like a freebie, and you running at a loss, because, like I said, no business owner will want to go into business to make losses, rather to make profit. And the other reason we gave, or the factor that we gave, was on the exchange rate. Now, this exchange rate has been very, very volatile, has been very, very unstable, and we gave you just an instance where the CBN recently showed us that the Naira, marginally weakened recently, and when it comes to foreign exchange, it's not really good for business owners who do importation and, of course, exportation. And we gave instances of how these things work when we have low or weak Naira, as it were, because it will affect your import, of course, when you want to bring in inputs from abroad. And the last one we just talked about was the supply disruption. I mean, where we have shocks in the supply of goods. Take an example from some of the sub-factors I brought out under supply disruption. One of them was insecurity. We look at what's going on in Nigeria as it is right now. The volatile areas, in those particular areas in Nigeria, the northeast, some part of the north region, and of course, you see that when these things happen, farmers who are in the agricultural sector hardly go to the farms, and when that happens, supply, there'll be scarcity of agricultural produce. And then natural disaster in the form of flooding. When flood happens, we saw it not quite long. I think we saw some last year. It also affects supply as well. All right, so I hope you're getting the drift right now, what inflation is all about. When we come back, because we'll go for a short break right now, we'll look at how inflation affects you, your job, and your business. Stay with us.
At DSAG Engineering and Services, we anticipate, manage, and deliver. Since 2000, we have been a leading EPC company, ensuring customer satisfaction through quality service and timely delivery. With integrity, proficiency, and innovation at our core, we provide world-class solutions tailored to your needs. From engineering designs and construction to procurement, manpower outsourcing, and maritime supplies, DSAG delivers excellence. Partner with us today. Visit www.dsag.net or call +23 4807 254 8724. DSAG Engineering and Services, anticipate, manage, deliver.
Well, welcome back, and so super excited to know that you are still with us. And just a reminder that we are looking at inflation. What is this word inflation? Okay, so before we went on that breather, we said we're going to be looking at how inflation affects you and I, our job, and of course, those of us who are in business. Well, I just mentioned different aspects right now because inflation truly hits different people in different ways. But one group that feels it most, I said it, I think when we just started, the one group that inflation hits the most is the ordinary Nigerians. The ordinary Nigerians. If you earn a fixed salary, for those who are workers, who earn fixed salary, inflation is your silent enemy. This is one line that we kept hammering on, kept talking about. It is your silent enemy, inflation, especially when you are a fixed earner, when your salary is fixed. Okay, so, but let's look now what we have on the screen right now that will be displayed on your screen. Who suffers most from inflation? I just said about fixed salaries earners, yeah? So salary earners are one of those who are most affected by inflation. Yes, because salary earners, over time, their salaries remain the same for a pretty long time before you get to talk about promotion, you get to talk about increase in your salary. So you as a salary earner, you are one of those mostly affected by inflation. You know why? Because as your salary remains in one place for a pretty long time, let's say in your space of operation, you have every 4 years before salaries are reviewed, or your salaries get to increase. In that 4 years, inflation must have hit you several times. Okay, the inflation must have risen, dropped, because that's how it is, very unstable. And yes, that's why I said you as a salary earner, you are one of those who are mostly hit, because as it increases, as inflation happens to you, your salary remains intact for the next 4 years. But then what that salary was buying before now could not buy again before your next salary review. All right, still on that particular slide, you could see that market traders are another set of people that inflation hits the hardest, in the sense that they go into the market space, they get their goods from their major suppliers, get to the market, and then sells. But then for those who are supposed to come do business with them, they just cannot come do business with them, because the volume of what they used to buy, it's not like they cannot do business with them, but the volume of what they used to buy will not be the same volume that they used to buy. Okay, right now they cannot buy the same volume that they were buying before, talking about the salary earners, especially because those are the people that want to go to the local market and to meet market traders. Same goes for small businesses. They are also one of the hardest when it comes to inflation. They are one of the set of persons that inflation hits the hardest. And then pensioners. Pensioners is just like into salary earners. In fact, theirs is even almost worse, because there's no increase over time of their pension. Okay, so they just live by how inflation sucks a lot of money from their pocket. All right, so you can see the worker trader, SMEs, and of course retirees. The retirees are under the pensioners that I just talked about. So if you earn a fixed salary, inflation quietly, that's what I've been saying, inflation quietly reduces your standard of living. It reduces your standard of living, because your salary is fixed. Like I gave the instance of maybe you as a worker in your workspace, your salary is reviewed every 4 years, and definitely your standard of living would definitely drop because your income stays the same. But food costs more, more, and transport costs more, because you're still looking at probably you're on a salary of about 100,000 a month, and over the next 4 years, that's how the salary will be. But there's definitely transport fare will increase, and it's still on that salary. Food items will definitely increase, that will still be on that salary. And of course, your rent will definitely be increased by the property owner or your landlord, as it were. And of course, you cannot save. That's what now happens to you. Savings just disappears, suffers a lot. So money kept in cash loses value, every day when inflation is high. All right. So when inflation, goes up, definitely the money in your hand is almost like is valueless. the money that you keep in your possession is almost like valueless because of inflation. All right, let's also for a look at small businesses now. We're looking at the home front. All right, let's look at small businesses, what inflation does to small businesses. They are the next in line anyway for those who are most affected after those guys I talked about, the salary earners, the market traders, the small businesses, and of course pensioners. So for small businesses, inflation means unstable prices. That's what inflation brings to the fore for small businesses. The prices would never remain the same. It will always be going up and down, up and down. The down I'm even referring to is not like it's coming to the original price of how it used to be. For instance, some years ago, just a few years ago, I think before President Bola Tinubu became president, we know how much a bag of rice was. Okay, so when he came overboard, the price of rice went shot up, and for some time, I think sometime last year, the price of the bag of rice dropped. Okay, now when I say dropped, when you compare to what the amount it dropped to, and that same the same bag of rice, how much it was before he became president, you'll see that it's not really a drop. Okay, let's assume a bag of rice then before he became president was let's say 30,000 naira, and when he became president, it's all assumption now. I don't want to go to correct figures. I want you to understand where I'm coming from. So before he became president, let's assume it was 30,000 naira to a bag of rice, and then when he became president, a few months later, bag of rice was like 100,000 naira. All right. Now, few years later, let's say about 2 years later, after he became president, the bag of rice now went to 70,000 naira. So that's the cheapest in his administration, from 100,000 when he became president, for instance, and then 2 years later it became 70,000 naira. So you now say there's a price reduction, or the price of that particular goods has dropped. When you compare the price, 100,000 and 70,000 naira is 30,000 naira drop. But now compare this 30,000 naira drop, the 70,000 naira that it is, let's say at the present, and compared to when he became president, when it was 30,000 naira. Would you say that there is a price drop? All right, you get where I'm coming from. So unstable prices for small businesses, and then reduced profit, because where there is instability with pricing of goods, definitely your profit would not be on the rise, like constantly, on the rise, but instead it will go like up today, tomorrow it will reduce, just like that, up and down. So it's even unstable, your profit. But definitely when you want to look at when you were doing business a couple of years ago and now, you say that your profit has reduced. All right. And in this same space for small businesses, you could see that customers are buying less. Like I said, your salary is not increasing, it's still there, and the prices of goods are increasing. So what you have to do is, like they used to say, cut your cloth according to what? Okay, you get it. So that's the harsh reality of how money works. I mean, inflation works for small businesses. All right, so let's look at the graphics before us again, and you will get to understand the before and now on business reality. Okay, you'll see that before on the left, you say is that we had stable costs, okay, and predictable profit. Now this for businesses, we have stable cost or stable prices for the goods that they want to sell to the customers or to the consumers, and then they had predictable profit. They could predict that, okay, at the end of the first quarter of the year, my profit margin will be at 2%. It was very predictable. But now look at it, rising costs of doing business. Before, they had stable cost of doing business, and then even when they pass the burden to the pricing of the goods, they still make some number of good profits. But right now, the rising costs of materials to do the business is really, really not, on the positives for them. And so they want to push such to the consumer. But even when they push such to the consumers, their, margins, profit margins shrink, because not everybody will be able to, just like what we said, customers are buying less. All right. So that's exactly what also affects them. It will now translate into their profit being, getting shrinked and shrinking as it is. So the margins are always shrinking for them, very, very small compared to when it used to be. So this is why inflation, to all of us, inflation is very dangerous. It is quietly pushing people into poverty without making noise. That's what inflation does, quietly. Because you will now be asking yourself, what did this money that I just gathered now, what did it actually do for me? Quietly, without making noise, inflation will make you be staring at the face of poverty. But inflation can be controlled, really? Can it be controlled? Because we've been looking at the reasons why we have inflation and what inflation is all about. So if this is, because I know while I was talking, if you recall very well, when I said inflation could go up and come down, the percentage of how it affects could go up and come down. So I mean, if it's also volatile, if it's also moving up and down, if it's also unstable, can it be controlled? This is what we'll look at as we round things up in the next segment after this commercial break. Stay with us.
At DSAG Engineering and Services, we anticipate, manage, and deliver. Since 2000, we have been a leading EPC company, ensuring customer satisfaction through quality service and timely delivery. With integrity, proficiency, and innovation at our core, we provide world-class solutions tailored to your needs. From engineering designs and construction to procurement, manpower outsourcing, and maritime supplies, DSAG delivers excellence. Partner with us today. Visit www.dsag.net or call +23 4807 254 8724. DSAG Engineering and Services, anticipate, manage, deliver.
All right, welcome back from that break. And before we went on the break, we said, we asked the question, can inflation be controlled? Can inflation be controlled? We will answer that question very soon. And we'll also look at how inflation, how Nigerians, you and I, can cope in the face of inflation. So, let's ask ourselves the first question, can inflation be controlled? Can inflation be controlled? Okay, so like I said, we have regulators of the economy. Every government, every country has regulators, and Nigeria is not exempted in this particular matter as well. For the economy, those who really control the economy, or the regulators, when it comes to finances or financial matters, they are the governments, and most times, and most especially the Apex Bank. In this sense, in Nigeria, it is the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, these two players, the government and the CBN, they do not ignore inflation. We have to be aware of this. They do all they can to ensure that inflation is controlled. And they fight inflation using several tools. There are several, but we'll look at just two of them. One of them is interest rate, and the other is boosting local production. Let's start with the interest rate. The first is the interest rate. Now, the understanding, or the what's the word? I really want to break this down really nicely. this simplified or the simple method, to help control inflation. You cannot remove inflation. That's one thing for sure, because if you do your studies, if you go on a research on other economies, in other parts of the world, you will definitely be hearing inflation is reduced to 1 point something percent or 2% or 12%, whatever it is, So it is the understanding that inflation cannot go away. Inflation cannot go away. Inflation will always be part and parcel of us. But it can be controlled. Yes, it can. And so one of the ways of controlling inflation right here in Nigeria is via higher interest rates. Now, with higher interest rates, this brings about a reduction in spending, and of course, it slows down price increases. That's what this higher interest rate does. The interest rate. So we go on a higher interest rate. When there's a higher interest rate, it brings this spending capability to a certain level, reduced to a certain level, and then it also slows down, price increases. That's the understanding. That's the understanding. Let me just leave it at that. That's what they believe. These players, that's what they believe can help control, to a greater extent, the effect or the influence of inflation. All right, let's look at what we have on the screen, how inflation is controlled. Like I said, interest rates. Now, with the interest rates, that brings about the money supply control. I talked about what CBN released recently, the volume of money in circulation. We have, at the end of December 2025, at the 2.90 trillion naira increase from what we had the previous month, which was November 2025. So you can see that the volume of money in circulation was really, really high. So one way that the government and the regulators of the economy would help is by ensuring that money supply is controlled. And that's what they are trying to do. Do most of your businesses cashless. Let's go cashless. Let's do businesses online instead of carrying much cash in our hands. All right. Another thing that you're seeing on your screen about these graphics is the exchange rate stability. Now, the government has to do a lot when it comes to the exchange rate. We've got to ensure that the local naira appreciates and doesn't get weakened too often. And there's been, to a large extent, some form of stability when it comes to what the naira buys the dollars. I mean, exchanges for the dollar. Recently, I think there's been a little form of stability, not like what it used to, I think, in the early part of 2025. And then, of course, the other one is local production, which we will look as the second reason that the government can do to control inflation. Boosting local production. Now, that's another factor or other tool that the federal government or the regulators of the economy can use to control inflation. Now, when we produce more locally, we depend less on imports, and then this brings about price stability. Okay, but like we saw over the former slide where we talked about money supply control, and then it brings about exchange rate stability. All right, so but with these tools that I just mentioned, just two of them, one of them, like I said, the interest rates, and then the other is boosting local production. Like I said, there are various tools that the federal government or the CBN can use. We don't want to go deep into all of that. I just want you to get the understanding of how that it can be controlled, yes, to the barest minimum if we can. If these things are really taken into serious consideration. But these solutions, these two tools that I just talked about, they are not really that easy because definitely it will take time for us to start seeing the effect of these solutions that I just profiled. So how do Nigerians, the other Nigerians cope when it comes to inflation, coping with inflation? All right, let's see the slide now for us to get an understanding of how Nigerians cope when it comes to inflation. First off, you can say budget strictly. We've got to, our budget will have to be planned in a way, brought up in a way that it will help reduce the cost of inflation, cost of living on Nigerians, and then also try as much as we can, the regulators now, we can to reduce inflation in the economy. And then another thing that you're seeing on the screen there is reduce waste. This is very, very important because when we do have surplus, some time ago I talked about how it is that you get surplus because of your pricing. People will turn away from such pricing, and then you have a lot of waste. So we have to reduce waste. That's one way of trying to cope with inflation. Yeah. So let me come back to that budget strictly. For you as a person, as a Nigerian, you have to stop spending impulsively. There are people, that anything that just comes to the mind, as long as there's money in their pocket, they will just spend instantly. That's called impulse spending. So impulse spending, you kill impulse spending when you budget strictly. So that will also reduce waste. Okay, I just wanted to link that budget strictly to reducing waste. So it will reduce wastage. You will not be spending money recklessly. Let me put it that way. And then multiple income streams. We've hammered on this over and over. In fact, right from episode 1 of Money and Market, we've been talking about multiple income streams. It's very, very important because, especially for you, the salaried earner, you cannot depend on your salary alone in relation to inflation. Okay, so if you say you want to do that, that means you won't be buying or be purchasing enough items for yourself and your family. All right, so you want to have multiple income streams in order for you to, in quotes, meet up, with your cost of living or your standard of living. All right, so multiple income streams would help you cope with inflation. Another is to invest wisely. Now, don't just jump, we talked about this before, don't just jump into every business ideas that come your way. It could come in the form of Ponzi scheme, because they still call it business idea. It will come in the form of a pyramid business, whatever model. So you've got to look at those things very, very critically before you say you are jumping into spending your money on investment. All right, so inflation is not just an economic statistics, okay? It is the reason your money feels weaker. So get the understanding of what inflation is. Inflation is not just for the scholars. It is not just for the big corporations or for government. It concerns you and I, even you, the market woman, the trader in the market, even you, the vulcanizer, even you, the artisan, whoever you are. Inflation concerns you. It is the reason your money feels weak. And when you say, my money cannot buy me what I used to, it is inflation that is at play. So understanding what inflation is the first step to surviving the inflation. Okay? Now, understand one thing. Inflation is like your enemy. It puts hole in your pocket. Okay? So get that understanding. I hope we've learned a great deal of what inflation is all about. Like I said, can inflation be controlled? Yes, you have seen how it can be controlled. I just brought out 2 key tools on how it can be controlled by the government or the regulators of the economy, one through interest rates and the other through, boosting local production when we do not depend solely on foreign production as it were. Okay, so that is all we have for Money and Market today on the topic inflation. I hope we have been able to explain what inflation is all about. By the way, Money and Market is the program where we explain the economy in a way everyone can understand. And I hope we have delivered that to you right now. And of course, you now have a better understanding of what inflation means and how it works. And I want to say thank you so much for staying with us, for watching. And before I say I'll see you next week or next time when we bring you another interesting and educative episode of the program, always do know that TVM, the app, is available on on Apple Store and of course on Google Play Store. You can download the app, and of course you can follow us via that app. You can also watch us on the go via different channels that you're seeing on your screen right now, on YouTube, Facebook, and what have you. And of course, there's a particular number on your screen right now where you can also reach us via text, call, or even via WhatsApp message. We'll be so glad to hear from you. And yes, I want to say thank you once again for watching. Until then, always remember that in money matters, impatience leads to regret. Wait until the numbers make a lot of sense to you. Wait until the timing is right. Goodbye for now.
Welcome to Dursag Engineering and Services Limited. A trusted name in the oil and gas industry, proudly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission since the year 2000. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service and product codes by NIPEX, certified by Dun & Bradstreet, and proudly ISO 9001:2015 certified. Our head office is strategically located at 43 Airport Road, Warri, Delta State, Nigeria. At Dursag, our areas of expertise cut across critical sectors, including manpower sourcing and supply, both local and highly trained expatriate personnel, engineering services across civil, electrical, instrumentation, and mechanical works, construction and fabrication works, specialized procurement and supply, operations and maintenance services, and integrated marine services, delivering supply boats, crew boats, tugboats, barges, houseboats, and speed boats. We are proud partners to some of the industry's leading players, including NNPC and its subsidiaries, Seplat Petroleum, First Hydrocarbon Nigeria Limited, ND Western, Saipem Contracting Nigeria Limited, and Lee Engineering and Construction, among others. Over the years, we have successfully executed manpower, EPC, and marine support projects with a strong record of excellence. At Dursag Engineering, we are committed to quality, safety, and timely delivery, ensuring that every project meets and exceeds expectations. Dursag Engineering and Services Limited, your trusted partner in delivering world-class engineering and energy solutions.
In every democracy, power does not operate in silence. Someone must ask the questions, tell the stories, and shine the lights where others would rather keep things hidden. In Nigeria, that responsibility largely falls on the media. From newspaper and radio to television and digital platform, the media plays a powerful role in how the country is governed. Here on Explained, we're going to be looking at the roles of media in governance, how it informs, checks powers, shapes public opinion, and strengthens democracy.
When we talk about the media, we mean newspapers, radio, television, and digital platforms such as news websites and social media. In Nigeria, the media reaches millions of people every day in cities, towns, and rural communities. From early morning radio to the late night TV news, the media is often the first source of information to the public. The first major role of the media in governance is information. The media tells Nigerians what the government is doing, new policies, budgets, laws, appointments, and national decisions. Without the media, most citizens would be completely disconnected from the government's activities. By reporting the news, the media keeps governance visible and open to the public. Another important role of the media is acting as a watchdog. Journalists observe government actions, investigate wrongdoing, and expose corruption or abuse of power. When public funds are misused or leaders fail to do their jobs, the media brings these issues to public attention. This role helps discourage bad behavior in government and remind leaders that the public is watching. Because of media reports, government officials are often forced to explain their actions. When stories trend in the media, ministries issue statements, agencies respond, and sometimes investigations are opened. This process is called accountability. Leaders being answerable to the people. In this way, the media helps balance power between the government and its citizens. The media does not only report news, it also educates the public. Through discussions, interviews, and special programs, the media explains government policies, citizens' rights, and national issues in simple language. Radio programs in local languages and TV discussions help Nigerians understand how governance affects their daily lives. Elections are a major part of governance, and the media plays a key role during this period. The media educates voters, introduces candidates, reports campaigns, and monitors the electoral process. On election days, media coverage helps promote transparency and reduces the speed of rumors. This helps citizens make informed choices and strengthens democracy. The media also gives ordinary Nigerians a voice. Through phone-in programs, interviews, and social media engagements, citizens can express their opinions and raise concerns. This allows the government to hear directly from the people and encourages public participation in governance. Despite its importance, the media in Nigeria faces challenges. These include pressure from powerful individuals, threats to journalists, lack of funding, and the spread of fake news. Some media houses also struggle to remain independent. These challenges affect how effectively the media can perform in its role in governance. Without the media, governance would lack transparency. The media connects the government to the people, keeps leaders accountable, and helps citizens stay informed. A free and responsible media strengthens good governance and democracy in Nigeria.
In the story of Nigeria's democracy, the media is more than just an observer. It is an active participant. By informing the public, holding leaders accountable, and giving voice to the people,
This is TVM. TVM delivers breaking stories, global headlines, and the moments that matter. From exciting sports action to exclusive local events, we keep you connected. Celebrate our culture, people, and voices with powerful documentaries and inspiring stories. Experience premium entertainment, from trending music to urban lifestyle and beyond. Grow your spirit with life-changing messages and uplifting perspectives. Lead the way with bold conversations, fresh ideas, and thought-provoking shows. Wherever you are, whenever you want. Watch TVM on all your devices. TVM, your world, your network.
The second constitution was the Littleton Constitution of 1954, which
This is TVM. TVM delivers breaking stories, global headlines, and the moments that matter. From exciting sports action to exclusive local events, we keep you connected.
Celebrate our culture, people, and voices with powerful documentaries and inspiring stories. Experience premium entertainment, from trending music to urban lifestyle and beyond. Grow your spirit with life-changing messages and uplifting perspectives. Lead the way with bold conversations, fresh ideas, and thought-provoking shows. Wherever you are, whenever you want. Watch TVM on all your devices. TVM, your world, your network. This is TV.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Your Perspective. As we all know, Nigeria is a lovely country and we are preparing for the general elections next year, 2027. And we all know that Nigerian youths, you're very vocal, we're very agile and active on social media. So, you know, we do a lot of talking and postings and rants and banters here and there on social media. So that brings us to the question, are Nigerian youth really interested in politics? I will be discussing this topic in the studio today with my amazing co-host, Mr. Frederick O'Neill. Hello, Mr. Fred.
Yeah, good to be back here on Your Perspective.
Yeah, good to have you join me on this episode. Are Nigerian youth really interested in politics? Let me throw that question to you, Mr. Fred. Do you think Nigerian youths are really interested in politics?
Yeah, they are. They are really interested in politics. Simply put.
So aside the online banters and online postings, you think Nigerian youths are interested in politics?
Yeah, they are. They are. I mean, if they're not interested, they will not be throwing, like you said, the banters on social media.
But when it comes to actual political participation, voting, joining parties, holding our leaders accountable, you see our youth to come out en masse to do all of that, to come out to do all of the talking. But the real question here is the social media activism and the low voting turnout. How do you merge the two? Because online everybody is a social media activist. Online, everybody is an electoral activist. Everybody has something to say. Everybody wants to say something. Everybody wants to correct one or two ills that's going on in the electoral process. But do these people come out in mass? Because when you go over to the comment section, you see so many people with a lot of ideas, with so many things to say. But do you see this amount of people on the polling booth to actually vote and to, you know, make sure that their votes count?
Okay, so this I think is the missing link, where you see the number of people who are very active in calling out the government and its policies, and also trying to see if there's going to be some changes in some of the policies that are probably not realistic or not working for the government or the economy of the state. The difference is, like you rightly said, do we see these same set of people who do this bantering on social media? Do we see them on the polling unit or the polling booths to cast in their votes? The answer is no. We don't have that number of persons, because I was on the field in 2023 during the last general elections.
Yeah, you said so.
Now, most of the persons who found themselves in the social media space to propagate whatever they were propagating against the sitting government, as it were, many of them did not come up to show evidence that they went to cast their votes. In as much as they were also, you know, throwing tantrums or throwing whatever at the government to say that we must effect the changes now, we must change the government of the day. We still, because they had videos, you know, when they were doing all those kind of ranting.
Yeah.
But there were no videos to show
actually show that these people
they and their followers or whoever they were influencing were on the queue to cast their vote. Why that?
Yes, so why that? The question goes out to the general public. Why that? Why do we have so many people that do online voting? We have so many people that vote with their mouth. We have so many people that have something to say, but they do not actually put in the work. They do not go out to actually put in the real action, so to speak.
Now, when you look at what happened in 2020, talking about the NSAS movement, the number of youths and people who came out during that protest, you know, if you put those numbers into perspective, into the electioneering, you definitely may have seen, because they were against the government of the day.
Let me tell you the honest truth, right? I was at that toll gate.
In Lagos, right?
Yes, in the Lekki toll gate. I was there till the very day of the incident that happened. I was there. But I'll tell you this for a fact: more than 60% of the people there were not there for the purpose at which some of them went there. Like, what I mean is, more than 60% of the people that were there were just there for vibes and inshallah, so to speak. So that's where you see people going there to connect, to make friends, to get girlfriends, to get boyfriends. You know, some people are just there because people are going there.
And that is a big problem from
that is the problem.
From the populace that we thought could effect change in this country.
Because when you look at the crowd, right, you just see that the people that are actually interested in this thing, or the people that actually take this thing up, they are just at the front. The remaining people from the middle to the back, to the they're just there to just catch fun, just with their friends. It was a time to just hang out, to, you know, more like an outdoor picnic and all of that.
Is there anything really wrong in this aspect that you just talked about now? Is there anything really wrong?
No, there's nothing wrong.
No,
there's nothing wrong.
It will bring, I think, it will bring more ties, you know, amongst the youth, more ties to face head on what they were fighting for.
Yes, there was nothing wrong with people connecting, but the major reason why people went out for that protest was against bad leadership, was against NSAS, was whatever it was, right? So more than 60% were not there to say, oh, we are here to protest to the government, to hear our cry, to hear our plea. Most of them were just there to just relax. Oh, okay, we are not even going to work today. Let me just go out there and see what's going on there. And then when they get there, they meet people, they just relax. I was there firsthand, so I know what I saw. You know, people were just there to just chill and just relax with people and just enjoy. And there were vendors here and there selling foods. There were good Nigerians that were bringing foods to share to people, snacks and everything. And then some people were bringing face masks to share. So it was a gathering of, you know, if you don't have anything doing at home, you just go there, you see free food that you take home that day. So it was just a thing to just gather and just enjoy. Some people saw it as that. Some people went there to actually protest.
No,
this is what we are clamoring for.
Maro,
the government should give us
the angle you're coming from when you say they were there to catch vibes, you know, sharing of food and you know, that protest was not a one-off protest.
It wasn't even a one-week protest.
Yeah. So they saw the need for people to be taken care of, and probably that's why you saw the sharing of food and what have you.
You're not getting my point.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, let's not overflog this issue of what that number of people seen in that 2020 protest, from, like you said, the middle to the back stage, you know, let it not look like they didn't know what they were there for. They do know what they were there for. They knew what they were there for. And in that instance, you could see that there was no problem until there was a counter youth protest against that positive move from that particular NSAS movement. So for me, like I said, if we could use that population that came out, it wasn't only in Lagos, in other parts of Nigeria, Delta states inclusive, Edo State, you know, some other places. If we could get this youth, because majority of them that came out were against the government of the day. So they wanted that change to be effected. Remove this government if they are not doing what they need to do. All right. Now we are saying that if this youth could come out, because in that exercise, in that movement, we saw some persons who led that movement. So these are people who, if given opportunity to, they could come into political office and probably change the narrative.
Okay, now that will bring me to this question. Why does it seem like young Nigerians talk more on politics online than offline? Well, we all hear the talks, but we rarely or barely even see the actions from our youth.
The few
offline.
times, yeah, the few times we've seen them offline, you know, pursuing that political ambition, we've seen, I don't know if you've seen them, but I've seen cases where they were maligned, they were taken out of context, yeah, some were even arrested, you know, and that brings about the fear factor from these individuals, this youth that would have been interested in politics. So that brings about the fear if I go further. Because if you go through the primaries of these political parties, how they come about getting, you know, who will represent them in the different elections, in the different positions, whether in the state level or in the federal level, you will see that these are old men and women. How come? Are you saying that in these political parties, they do not have young people who are card-carrying members? They do. So they silence them, they play them out. And that's the situation. So I wish, my perspective is, I wish there is a political party that is structurally made for the youths of the country. I think that would send the right signals to the government of the day. Definitely, I wish we have a political party that has a structure for the Nigerian youth.
Okay, all right. With these few points of yours, Mr. Fred, I'll use that to urge our amazing viewers. You know, your perspective is a conversational segment, so we expect to hear feedback from you. I just got one feedback, so that's what's prompting me to say this, like I always say. But this is a conversational segment. We expect to hear feedback from you. We expect to read your comments. We expect to receive calls from you and, you know, messages, whatever, from all our social media platforms displayed on your screen. I have a message here from somebody, and the question goes, is tweeting or posting about politics the same as being politically active? Because, you know, the topic is, why are Nigerian youths not interested in politics? Now this person is asking, is tweeting or posting about politics online the same thing as being politically active? Because they'll tell you, even if I don't go out there to vote, at least I'm doing my bit from my end. So does that mean that you're politically active? Mr. Fred, what would you say to that?
To an extent, you could say yes.
Okay.
And to an extent, you could say no. Yes, in the fact that he or she is giving out information, you know, as regards what is going on in the political space.
Information from their perspective, though.
Yeah, but it is what they also gathered from facts.
Oh, yeah. True.
Facts about the political scene in the political arena. And so that's where they will now come, just like what we are doing here through this program, Your Perspective. They will say things. We don't just come here to say things of our own. We say things, yes, of our own, but backed by data or by sources. And that's what most of them do, whether it is via X, formerly Twitter, or, you know, any other social media platforms.
Instagram, and the rest,
you know, so
that.
Yeah, it's in a way of disseminating information to the public as well, and getting people to be aware, you know, because some of these people, they break it down. They broke it so down that their followers that they influence get to know some certain things that the followers don't even know.
Yeah.
You know, so like I said, they yes, in a way, they
something
are active.
that originally, you know, reading about it would have confused them.
Yes.
But, you know, seeing somebody or hearing somebody say or talk about
the things down,
you know,
nicely.
people will get to understand. Okay, I have another question here. Why do many young people lose interest after election?
It's very
you know,
simple.
like
Yeah,
you
I mean,
said.
it's easy.
It's not just young people as it is. Nigerians generally,
Nigerians
people,
generally.
even Africans generally, when they see the outcome of the election, it's not what they are expecting, or you know, they just see the process, the electoral process, how funny it was. They just decide, no, I will never vote again. I know people like that.
Yeah, there are people like that, and you wouldn't blame them, because when you look at what has happened in the past, definitely when they go through another election process, they will also feel, you know, the same way. I mean, like the last election where we saw the beavers, the IRF issue came up.
Yeah.
We saw how they gave excuses here and there, and they've started again. They've started giving excuses even before the election.
Yeah, they're already telling the outcome of the electoral process.
They've already started, and that's not good for the populace. And they're already saying, my vote will not count, so why am I even going there? Why am I bothering myself going to cast my vote? But please, like we keep saying here, I keep saying here, you can still go out there and vote, because when you do that, there will be a minimal way of fraud from these, how will I put it, the players in the electionary process. But if you do not cast your vote, if you do not come out and say your vote does not count, you're giving them room to be fraudulent.
And the truth is, if you did not vote, you really did not have a say on the government.
And those are the people that will still come out to have a say. Because majority, but because I found that the majority of the people who complain today about the government are the people who did not even go to the polling unit to cast their vote.
So to be an eligible Nigerian, to be an eligible critic, so to speak, come out and cast your votes. Then let's the electoral process take its course, but come out and cast your vote. All right, well, we'll go on a very quick and short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Welcome to Dursag Engineering and Services Limited, a trusted name in the oil and gas industry, proudly registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission since the year 2000. We hold several specialized permits with the Department of Petroleum Resources, are accredited with service